Siman Yud Siv Chav Hey. When it comes to wearing tefillin on Chol Hamoed, there's a machlekes haposkim whether we are mechuyev to put on tefillin during Chol Hamoed. And what developed is different minhagim among Klal Yisrael what to do about wearing tefillin during Chol Hamoed. So there are certain places that they do not put on tefillin at all during Chol Hamoed. There are certain places that do put on tefillin during Chol Hamoed, but when it comes to making the bracha, even though normally on a regular day you're allowed to make the bracha of lo haniach tefillin out loud, but on Chol Hamoed they make the bracha quietly. And yet there are other makaimis that they put on tefillin, but they do not make any bracha at all. And even according to those places, that minig, that you do not make a bracha, but still you should not be mafsik between the shel yad and the shel roish. We know that that's the halacha generally on a regular day when you're putting on your tefillin, you're not allowed to be mafsik between the shel yad and the shel roish. So too, even on Chol Hamoed, when you're not making the bracha, still you should not be mafsik between putting on the tefillin shel yad and putting on the tefillin shel roish. However, even though normally when you're not allowed to be mafsik, you're not even allowed to be mafsik to answer kaddish and kedusha, but when it comes to Chol Hamoed, then you are allowed to be mafsik between the shel yad and shel roish if it is to answer kaddish and kedusha. Now, also, you have to be careful that when you're davening in a shul, if you're somebody that wears tefillin, that you're davening with other people that are putting on tefillin. And if you are somebody that does not wear tefillin, then you should only be davening in a minyan where people do not put on tefillin. You should not have a minyan where both people are wearing tefillin and people are not wearing tefillin. It gets into the shaila of the isser of loises goydedu. Sif chav vav. Now, tefillin have a chazaka that they are kosher, which means that minadin, as long as the bias looks like it has been untampered with and it's not damaged, then there's no reason for you to suspect that the parshias inside the bias have any problem with them at all. Still, it's proper to check the parshias of the tefillin also, because sometimes by just wearing them so many times, some zeya, some liquid can get inside and can maybe make a parsha, some of the ksav there may be problematic. And therefore it is proper to check the tefillin, even the parshias inside, even when the bias looks perfectly fine. Now, if let's say you have tefillin that you don't put on that often, then the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says in that case you should check those tefillin twice in every 7 years, because again we're afraid that maybe the parshias will begin to get moldy and the ksav will be ruined. Also, if there's a problem with the bias, so let's say the bias itself, like the box where the parshias stay in, let's say those boxes get ripped, or if they're damaged in any way, then certainly you have to open up the bias and look into the parshias of the tefillin to see whether they have been damaged. Also, if they get soaked in water, that's another reason why you would have to open them up and get checked. However, if let's say you don't have somebody who can check them, then what you should do is you should put them on, but you should put them on without a bracha.